right, everybody. So, class today is inspired partly by the insane weather fluctuations that we're seeing, coupled with the truly insane energy fluctuations that are happening out in the world, and something to help us stay grounded and centered and stable during this time. As we continue to move through a very uncertain time with, the stay-at-home orders and not knowing what's coming day to day, that alone can create a sense of instability for people. And just to be clear, that if that instability is happening for you, even in the mind, this doesn't happen in isolation. So when we have instability in the mind, we also have instability happening in the body. Whether that's manifest or noticeable to us or not, it is a fact that nothing is happening in isolation within ourselves. If you aren't noticing that instability mentally, but maybe you're noticing it energetically, can you hear me, Tawny? Okay. So maybe you haven't been noticing an instability mentally or emotionally. Maybe you're feeling it energetically. One day you have lots of energy and you feel very productive, and then the next day you've got nothing. Or maybe it's actually physically. One day you feel great and you can move around and do all the things, and then the next day you're sore, you're achy, you're tight, tighter than usual, things like that. And we're seeing inconsistencies on one layer of ourselves or another. It's an inconsistency that is occurring all throughout all the layers. We just may be more conscious of or have a better awareness of one aspect or another, and that can change day to day too. So point is, our practice can and does promote stability. If we come to the practice regularly with a bit of enthusiasm, it can support us. It can help cultivate and maintain some stability across the board. So today's practice will work on all of those levels, energetic, physical, and mental. Our beginning practice when we get going will be alternate nostril breathing, to set the tone of the practice, which is going to be, again, grounding, stabilizing, balancing. We will start with the alternate nostril breath. I'll demonstrate that in a moment. We're going to move through a practice that does all of those things for us on the physical plane, and then we'll end our practice today with Soham, just as we have a layout of where we're headed. So alternate nostril breathing, we'll start, because it's midday, we will start on the, well, actually, regardless of whether it's midday, we're going to start on the left, because we want to promote that kind of calm feeling for ourselves before we begin. So alternate nostril breath is done with Vishnu Mudra. So if I know some of you are familiar with this, I'm not sure if Erica is or not, but you're going to bring the pointer finger, the pad of the pointer finger, and the pad of the middle finger to the base of the thumb, to the pad of the thumb, and then the knuckles of those two fingers will rest on the bridge of your nose. We want to make sure that the head is straight and upright, so try not to let the head duck down or go to the side. If the arm gets tired, you can support that arm with the other hand. Once the hand is in place, we use the ring finger or the pinky finger to valve one nostril, and we use the thumb to valve the opposite nostril. So you can just kind of get yourself familiar with that. Hand placement for a second, just so that when we begin our practice, you're familiar. And then if this is just too much noise, you can just valve your nostrils in whatever way is comfortable for you. So if you have not already taken your seat, please do so. Finding yourself comfortably sitting in easy pose, preferably with a blanket or a lift beneath your hips if you have one. Finding a place where you have a tall spine, so shoulders balancing over hips, ears floating over shoulders. The eyes can come closed if they have not done so already. The hands can rest face down on the Taking a moment first to acknowledge that you're here on your mat to practice. Letting go of other thoughts, if possible. Feel the support from beneath you, holding you up. And then begin to notice how you're feeling coming into this practice. Scanning the body from head to toe, checking in, noticing how you feel on a physical level. Noticing how you feel energetically. And noticing what the mental landscape is like, or has been like. Without getting stuck in any of those thought streams, we'll just take note and then invite the awareness to the breath. Noticing the breath moving in through the nose and out of the nose. Beginning to establish a diaphragmatic breath here, inviting the inhalations deep into the body, down towards navel center. Exhaling, emptying out all the way. We'll first establish a samavriti breath here. Samavriti meaning same fluctuation. Inhale and exhale are of the same length, and they are of the same quality. Inhale, moving to navel center. Exhale, emptying out all the way. Inhale and exhale are even and smooth. Becoming established here before moving on to our alternate nostril practice. As you're ready, you'll bring your right hand up, placing the hand in position for our alternate nostril practice. Next, inhale, moving in through both nostrils, exhaling through both nostrils. And as you next inhale, plugging the right nostril, inhaling through the left. As you're ready to exhale, you'll plug the left, exhale through the right, then inhaling through the right, plugging right, exhaling left. That's one complete round. The next inhale comes in through the left nostril. You plug the left, you exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, and exhale through the left. That's round two. I'll walk you through one more. You'll inhale left again. As the exhale comes, we exhale through the right, plugging the left. Inhaling right. Exhaling left. We'll do 6 more rounds on your own. you've completed those rounds, no rush here. Keep the eyes closed. Let your hands return to your laps. And notice if there's even the slightest shift just from that short practice. Alternate nostril breathing is a healing, cleansing, balancing practice. Can be done standalone or as part of a whole practice. As you next inhale, go ahead and let the eyes open up gently. There will be a lot of focus today at navel center. I want you to, as we begin to move, think about sourcing movement from this space. So if we move the arm, we think about that movement starting here, originating in navel center, and working its way up and out through the arm. So we support that movement all the way up and through. Same from down and out. This area is got a lot going on for us. This is where digestion happens, of course, of our food, also of our experience. This is the seat of our own internal fire. So it's important to bring lots of awareness here and to support ourselves from this space. Seated cat-cow will be our first movement. So moving from navel center, hands come to fronts of knees. We inhale, belly draws forward from navel center, head and tailbone relax into the space behind us. Exhale, belly button draws deep into the body, the back arches into the space behind us, the head and the tailbone lengthen forward. Still moving with our Samavriti breath here. Taking our time, noticing where we're moving from. If the mind is still busy and wandering, continue to invite it where you want it to be. Here at navel center. 2 more rounds. And then we'll meet together on that inhale up through the center. And then we'll come off of our seats, setting the blankets off of your mat, either to the back or to the side, finding your way up onto hands and knees. So, knees hips distance apart, shins parallel, toes pointing straight back. Hands, shoulders distance apart, fingers gently spread, and the hands are just slightly forward of the shoulders. We're going to move from table to child's for the next 4 rounds of breath. Again, focus on moving from navel center. So taking that deep breath in. On the exhale, hip bones sitting back towards the heels, arms staying out in front of you, emptying out all the way. Inhale, coming back up through table. Exhale, sitting the hips back, the tailbone rooting down to the space between the heels. Feeling that link through the side body. Inhale, coming back to table. 2 more rounds, just like that. Being sure the breath is complete. So deep breath, still moving to navel center on the way in. Exhale, empty out all the way as we sit the hips strongly back towards the heels. Next inhale, coming back up to table, curl the toes under. Exhale, finding downward facing dog. Staying there for the next 3 rounds of breath. Feet are hips distance apart. There's a softness behind the knees. We anchor through the heels. Shoulders relax from the ears. Weight in the hands rooting down to the space between the thumb and the forefinger. Inhale, looking between the hands. Exhale, step those feet to meet the hands, coming into Uttanasana. Standing forward, fold. Softness behind the knees. We stay here for the next 3 rounds of breath. There's a gentle press through the soles of the feet, feeling the 4 corners of the feet. Whole upper body hangs. And on that next inhale, we press a little harder into our feet. The tailbone lengthens for the earth. We wake up from the navel center, coming all the way up to stand, coming to Tadasana. I'm just turning to face the camera for demonstration purposes. You can stay facing the short edge of your mat. Feet coming close together for Tadasana alignment, outer edges of the feet parallel to each other. Feeling the four corners of the feet, taking a few moments there. Really feel the soles of your feet. Feel the downward connection to the ground. Have a little bit of effort through your legs as you press into those four corners. Feel the tailbone lengthening towards the space between the heels. The sternum gently lifting, collarbones broad, crown of the head reaching. Inhale, lengthen up through the out through the fingertips, up overhead with the arms pressing into the feet. Exhale, releasing the arms down to the sides. We're going to inhale them up again. And at the top of this inhale, we'll interlace our fingers, steepling the pointer fingers, and crescent stretch on the exhale. Press into that left heel, crescent stretch to the right. Your gaze can come up gently to the left. Inhale, come up through the center. Exhale, crescent stretch to the left. Pressing into that right heel, your gaze can gently go to the right, coming up through the center on inhale. Once more to each side. Remembering that support and movement from navel center. Exhale, release the arms back down to the sides. Inhaling them up one more time. Exhale, this time hinging at the hips, folding over the legs. Uttanasana, standing forward, fold. Pausing here for the next breath or two. Hips over heels, gentle press through the soles of the feet. On the next inhale, bending those knees deeply enough that you can plant your hands shoulders distance apart. On the exhale, stepping the feet back into plank or half plank pose if you're not feeling full plank today. Pressing into the heels, feeling that awareness at the navel center, drawing the belly up into the body, heads higher than the shoulders. 2 more rounds of breath here. Feeling a sense of stability, pressing into the heels, pressing gently into your hands, feeling the 4 corners of the palms. On the next inhale, come onto hands and knees. Exhale, stay there. And then on the next inhale, come on up. Standing on your knees. So standing on your knees, you're going to face the long edge of your mat here. We're going to come into gate pose. So we'll keep the left knee on the ground and step that right foot out to the side. The right hand comes onto the side of the leg. We inhale, draw the left arm up and overhead. On the exhale, hinging at that right hip, crescent stretch through the left side. Having some awareness from the navel center all the way up to the left shoulder. Notice whether or not you're curling forward and drawing in. Open up, be bright through the front body. Keep that left shoulder back in line with the right. And we'll take 2 more rounds of breath here. And then we'll inhale, come upright. Exhale, relax that arm down to the side. And we're going to play with a preparatory pose here. Now the left hand is going to plant down onto the ground. So almost like we're setting up for half side plank pose. Right wrist beneath right shoulder, left wrist beneath left shoulder. Left knee is on the ground. You can let that leg, instead of having it straight back, you can let that leg kind of angle in here for now. And I'll show you where we're headed. So you're going to stay there for now. The right hand will come onto the hip. And we're going to come up into a similar position as half moon pose. So on an exhale, you can bring that leg up. It's important to press through this leg into the sole of the foot. The right foot is flexed, pressing into the heel and into the sole of that foot. Feel your hips stacking. Notice if you're clenching your buttocks and gripping in your hip, and if you are, wake up your belly and notice that that clenching can relax. We were borrowing a lot of strength from the hips because they're strong, but we want to be using the strength and the stability from the core. If you want, you can take the reach here, or you can keep the hand on the hip. 2 more breaths. And on that second exhale, you can lower that right foot back to the ground. Anchor the right foot, root down through the outer edge of the right foot, and then take that right hand on the inhale, reach it over the crown of the head, almost like a side angle pose. but bowing up the ribs, anchoring down through the outer edge of that right foot. Let your head relax back in space. 2 more breaths here. On the next inhale, coming all the way up. And exhale, relax the arms and bring that right knee back underneath you. And then we'll go to the other side. So, gate pose first on the left. Left leg goes out to the side, right knee is beneath right hip, anchoring down through the outer edge. Some people like to do this with the toes pointing out. Some people like to do it with the toes pointing forward. I hear that it doesn't much matter, so whatever's comfortable in your body. Left hand comes to the outside of the left leg. We inhale, draw the right arm up. On the exhale, hinging at that left hip, letting the left hand slide down the leg gently. Try not to press onto your knee. So if you're pressing into this hand at all, don't press on the outside of your knee. Keeping that right shoulder back in space, level with the left. The gaze can come gently up. 2 more rounds of breath here. And then on the inhale, come all the way up. And on the exhale, release that right arm back down to your side. And then on the exhale, we'll lower down, bring that right hand beneath the right shoulder. You can let that right leg kick in a little bit. We still want the right knee beneath the right hip. The left hand comes to left hip. And we come into that half moon shape. Again, on the exhale, we lift that left leg, pressing. So the left foot is flexed, pressing into that left foot. You might notice one side is more stable than the other. You might also notice if you engage your abdomen, the core, you feel that sense of stability. Supporting from the navel center, you can take the reach here if you want to. 2 more breaths. And on the exhale, we can lower that hand down and lower the left foot down. Anchor down through the outer edge of that left foot. And on the inhale, we'll draw that left arm beyond the crown of the head, reaching, bowing the left ribs up towards the ceiling. Big stretch through the whole left side body. Keeping that left shoulder back in space, stacking over the right. 1 more breath here. And on the inhale, coming all the way up. Take that full inhale and exhale to come up. And then bring that left knee back underneath left hip. So we're standing on the knees. Good. From here, staying on the knees. If your knees are tender, you can kneel on a blanket, or if you have pads, you can do that. On the inhale, we're going to reach the arms up and overhead. On the exhale, we're going to hinge at the hips, fold over the legs, sit the hips back onto the heels, fold forward, and turn the head to the right. Hands come behind the back. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hinging at the hips, sit the hips back towards the heels, folding forward over the legs, and turning the head to the left. If you want to make this a little more challenging, so inhale, come all the way up. If you want to make this a little more challenging, you can exhale, keep those arms extended, support through the navel center, and slowly come down to the floor. And then inhale, coming back up. If you choose this extended option, otherwise you're going to keep going side to side. If you choose the extended option, it's not a hinging of the shoulders where the hands and the arms are moving. The biceps stay close to the ears, and we take the work in the belly. We'll do this 2 more times. Last round here, we'll inhale, come all the way back up. Exhale, release the arms back down to the sides. Coming back to hands and knees. So coming back to that tabletop position, facing the short edge of your mat. We'll inhale, curl those toes under. Exhale, pressing up into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Remember that softness behind your knees, yet anchoring into the heels, really grounding down towards the earth, using the heels. More energy in the legs and in the arms. The shoulders relax from the ears. 2 more rounds of breath here.
Strong awareness of that navel center. As you exhale, draw that belly button deep into your body. Still using our Samavritti breath here. Inhale, look between the hands. Exhale, stepping the feet to meet the hands, coming into Uttanasana. Standing forward, fold. 2 more rounds of breath. And on that next inhale, pressing into the feet. Feel the tailbone anchor. Wake up the belly. Slowly roll up to stand. And we'll face the long edge of our mat, taking a nice wide stance. All right, so we want to have one block handy, at least right now. Keep them both handy, obviously, but we're going to use one in this movement. Just set it down in front of you for now. So nice wide stance. We're going to set up for Warrior 2. And in case you couldn't tell where we were headed, we're going to move from Warrior 2 into Ardha Chandrasana, which is half moon pose. So starting with the right leg, we'll move from the right hip down to the right heel, spinning that right leg open and putting the toes back down. We want that right knee pointing in the same direction as our right toes. Take your left foot and step it a little closer to that long front edge of your mat, just so we have a little space in the heels. And turn the left toes in 15 to 20 degrees. Feeling the 4 corners of our feet, gentle press through the legs into the soles of the feet. From about the navel center up, we're going to spin the torso so that our shoulders square off with the long edge of our mat. And inhale, take the arms on up. Exhale, relax the shoulders, lengthen through the fingertips. I heard the saying once, imagine that you're relaxing your arms on the back of a couch, like, but lengthen through the fingertips and feel those shoulder blades slide down the back. Take another deep breath in, and on the exhale, we'll bend that right knee, gaze out over that right hand, coming into Warrior 2. Pause here for the next 3 rounds of breath. Feel the 4 corners of your feet. Feel the tailbone lengthening towards the ground, the sternum lift, the collarbones broad. We want to be centered over our legs, so we're not reaching and leaning forward. We're upright, almost like someone's pulling gently on that left wrist. Good. On the next inhale, straighten that front leg. Exhale back into Warrior 2. We're going to do this for 3 rounds. So exhaling into the posture, rooting through the feet the whole time, even distribution of effort. Exhaling into the pose. Good. Last time we come down into the pose, and then I'll have you guys inhale, come up. Exhale, release your arms down to the side for a moment. So from here, we're going to play with half moon. You're going to, some people like to keep the block in their hand, and some people like to set that block. You want it to be the same space as it is from your hip to your shoulder, so that you're, you can be stacked. So I'm going to go ahead and place that out in front of my right toes, out enough that I know it'll be in a good place. And we're going to move from Warrior 2 into half moon pose. So we'll come into Warrior 2, and when you're ready, you're going to exhale, coming into the posture. So now maybe you press into this block, maybe you hold yourself here for a minute. Find your hips stacking, the raised leg foot is flexed, pressing into the heel. First, work on this stacking of hips. Keep that hand on your hip, find your shoulders stacked. Do all of that work before you worry about reaching your arm. Maybe we don't even reach the arm today. Really focusing on the grounding energy through the legs, even through that raised leg, okay? So go ahead and find yourself in your stance for Warrior 2. Block is either out in front of you or in your hand. We'll inhale, take the arms on up. Exhale, relax those shoulders. Take another breath in, and on the exhale, coming into Warrior 2. And stay here for a moment if you need to. Don't be in a rush. Be steady. Be mindful. And as you're ready, on an exhale, you'll begin to shift your weight forward into that right leg, sliding that left leg up, coming into our shape. Maybe you hold on to something that's near you. Maybe you hold on to a chair. Whatever you need to do. Maybe you go to the wall. Finding a place where you can come into this shape. The raised leg foot is flexed. You're pressing into the heel, working to stack the hips, stack the shoulders. If you feel you're stacked and steady, remember this core, this navel center, supporting from here is going to keep you more steady. Then you can take the reach of that arm. In the full expression of this pose, you wouldn't need the block to balance. As you're ready, on an inhale, bending that right knee, trying to gently step back with that left foot landing in warrior two. Take a breath there. Feel strong, feel tall. And then inhale, press into the feet, come all the way up. Exhale, release the arms back down to the sides. We'll come through the center before we go to the next side. So step your left foot back in line with your right. Both sets of toes point straight ahead. Here, depending on your flexibility, you may want both of your blocks. We're going to come into a five-point connection, wide-legged forward fold, meaning we're going to bring hands, hopefully, onto a surface and head onto a surface. Even if that means you stack your blocks like this and it's just your hands like this, this is just as legit as anything deeper. So finding your way into your wide-legged forward fold, feeling the four corners of your feet, take your time, come into this posture on an exhale. Support from the core, the navel center as you hinge and fold. Softness behind the knees. If your hands easily reach the floor, they're going to be shoulders distance apart on the same line as your feet. So if you drew a line from foot to foot, your hands would be on that line, your fingertips pointing the same way as your toes. If the elbows do bend, they begin to bend into the space behind you, and we bring our head onto a surface, whether that's a block, maybe it's a stool, maybe it's the floor. Remember not to lock your knees. Keep that gentle downward press through your feet, a little gentle press into the palms of the hands, into the fingertips, letting the crown of the head rest with a downward energy as well. 3 more rounds of breath here. And on the next inhale, you'll press up to that halfway point. Exhale, hands come to hips, press into the feet. Support through belly, coming all the way up. Good, and then we'll move to the other side. So from the hip down to the left heel, we turn the left leg out, the toes pointing towards the short edge of the mat, the left knee pointing the same direction as our toes. Our right foot takes a little step towards that front long edge of the mat so that we have a little space between our heels. The knee, we already talked about the knee pointing in that direction from the navel center up. The shoulders start to or come towards being squared off with that long edge of our mat. We inhale, take the arms on up, lengthen through the fingertips. Exhale, relax the shoulders, tall spine. Before we move, feel the four corners of your feet. Feel the even distribution of effort and press into the feet between the legs. Sternum lifts, the tailbone lengthens down. And on the next exhale, we'll bend that left knee, coming into warrior two on this side. So we're putting just as much effort down through the outer edge of that right foot as we are through that left heel. We're centered up over our legs, not reaching forward. The shoulders are still squaring off with that long edge of the mat, and the gaze is out over that left hand. We'll take 2 more rounds of breath here. Feel that strength and steadiness. Inhale, coming on up. Exhale, back into the posture. So now coming in and out. One more time. Inhale, coming on up. Exhale, relax the arms down to the sides. Find your block. Either having it in your hand or setting it out in front of you where you know your hand will land. We're going to come into warrior two, and you're going to stay there until you're ready to move yourself into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose on this side. So when you're ready, we'll inhale, take the arms up, Exhale, relax the shoulders, lengthen through the fingertips. Take another breath in. Taking our time today getting into poses. Exhale, coming into warrior two. Feel strong and steady here first. And then when you feel you're ready, on the inhale, you'll begin to shift your weight into that left leg. And on the exhale, coming to stand in Ardha Chandrasana. So remember, keep the left hand, or the right hand on the hip first, finding that place where the hips are stacked. The head should be in line with your spine, hopefully not pulling too far forward. We don't need to see our feet in this pose. The right foot is flexed. You're pressing strongly into that heel, trying to have as little weight as possible on that left hand. And if you feel you're stacked and ready, then you can take the reach of that upper arm. The reach of the arm isn't necessary. Staying here if you can for a couple rounds of breath, coming in and out if you feel that's more appropriate for you today. Trying to find some steadiness here, even if that means a little more weight in the hand. Maybe one more breath. And then on the inhale, we bend that left knee. Exhale, landing back into warrior two as gracefully as we can. And then inhale, straightening that leg. Exhale, releasing the arms down to the sides. And then we'll turn our toes straight ahead again. If you need to, if your ankles are tired, we bend wide for a little bit. You can walk them in and rotate your ankles a couple times if need be. So instead of having the toes pointing straight ahead, let's turn them out to a 45-degree angle. And we're going to come in and out of goddess pose a few times and then stay there for a few rounds of breath. I saw that yawn, Tawny. It's all right. It's a good thing. All right, inhale, reaching, pressing into the feet, getting tall and big. Exhale, sitting into goddess pose. The elbows bend to 90 degrees, the tailbone rooting down, strong navel center. Inhale, pressing into the feet, getting big, 5-pointed star. Exhale, sitting into goddess pose. Sitting right down if you can, tailbone rooting down, navel center drawing in as you exhale. Inhale, coming all the way up. 2 more times. Coming up on this inhale, getting ready because we're going to exhale, coming into goddess pose for 4 complete rounds of breath. So coming in, keeping that awareness here at navel center, keeping the belly firm, tailbone rooting down, crown of the head reaching up. 2 more breaths here. And then inhale, pressing all the way up. Exhale, release the hands down to the side. And then inhale, we'll step our feet together at the front edge of our mat, short edge of our mat. Coming back to Tadasana, and we're just going to pause here for a moment. Feel that downward connection through your feet. Tailbone lengthening towards the floor, supporting from navel center. Tall spine, crown of the head gently reaching. If your eyes are open, let your gaze go past the tip of your own nose. Noticing. If your breath is a little ragged from the bit of work we were doing, working as we're here to get the flow to be smooth and even, back to our Samavriti breath. A couple more rounds of breath here. And on the next inhale, arms rise up and overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hips, folding over the legs, Uttanasana. We're going to stay here for several rounds of breath. You can hold opposite elbows here if you wish. You can bind at the big toe with your pointer and middle finger here. They just hook around the big toe. The elbows bend out to the sides. Make sure there's softness behind your knees. You can also stand with the balls of your feet in the palms of your hands. Very grounding posture if you have this in your capacity. Bend your knees enough that your belly presses into your thighs.
Let the whole upper body hang. 3 more rounds of breath here. On the next inhale, releasing the bind or the hands from beneath your feet if that was the position you were in. On the exhale, we bend the knees, step the feet back, coming into plank pose again. So again, we're either in full plank or half plank with the knees down to the ground. From here, we're going to pick one leg up at a time, sourcing and supporting from navel center. Remember that head stays higher than shoulders, and on the inhale, we're going to lift that left foot up just a couple of inches so you can look back, peek at your toes for a second, make sure you're honest with yourself. 2 more rounds of breath here. And on that last exhale, you can lower the left foot to the ground, take a break if you need to, and then we'll go to the next side. So lifting that right foot off the ground just a couple of inches. 3 more rounds. And on that last exhale, that right foot returns to the ground. If you're not already on your hands and knees, inhale to hands and knees. Exhale, shoulders come slightly forward of wrists. We lower ourselves to the ground, coming onto our bellies. Coming down to the bellies, let the hands come behind the back. So we're going to play with this variation of Shalambhasana or locust pose. So the hands are on the small of the back, palms are facing up. You can stretch the legs back behind you some if that feels good. Finding your very low belly pressing towards the ground without clenching your buttocks. So using the abdominal muscles to hug that low belly towards the earth. From that space, as we inhale, lifting from the navel center into the insides of the thighs, the legs lift up. And from the navel center up through the front of the body, the front chest and head rise up. That's the inhale, exhale. Supporting from navel center, we slowly lower back to the ground. 3 more times on the breath. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, slowly lowering down. 2 more. Good. On the next inhale, release the hands from behind your back, bring them onto the ground in front of you. Exhale, press on up, coming onto your elbows. So elbows just slightly forward of shoulders. Wrists in line with elbows, fingers gently spread. We're going to come into Sphinx pose. Legs are gathered behind you, stretch back behind you. So if you can, keep your wrists in line with your elbows. For some people that's a little bit much. The hands might be more into the center, but we try to line them up with the elbows. We are tall through sternum, collarbones are wide, so if your shoulders are rounding forward, try to find that place where you have space across the collarbones. The head is upright. From here, on an exhale, we draw the low belly up and off of the floor. So we're really pressing onto our upper thighs, and the low belly lifts away from the ground. So maybe your belly doesn't come completely off the ground, but we have the energetic of that. We have the idea of that, supporting this from navel center. 3 more rounds of breath. And on that last exhale, relaxing the body out of Sphinx pose and coming down fully onto your bellies. Heads resting on the backs of the hands. We take the legs a little bit wide, the feet come apart, and the toes point out to the sides. Makarasana. Just first feeling the length of the body on the ground. Let the body be soft. Awareness dedicated to the breath. We're going to practice Agni Bhavana breath. On the inhale, we feel the breath and prana with it coming in through the nose, down to navel center. On exhale, we feel prana moving from pelvic floor up to the navel center. So on inhale, prana and breath moving into the body, to the navel center. On exhale, prana moving from pelvic floor up to navel center. Prana, another word for energy, is what we're visualizing or envisioning here. Moving in through the nose with the breath, down to navel center. Exhale, prana moving from pelvic floor up to navel center. Inviting these two main flows of energy to gather here, to unite and empower us, supporting our own internal fire, which when it's burning brightly, serves us in digesting food to energy, experience to wisdom. Inhaling from nose to navel center, exhaling from pelvic floor to navel center. Breath is still even and smooth. Four more rounds just like that. When you've completed those 4 rounds, returning to a diaphragmatic Samavriti breath. We'll gather the hands beneath our shoulder heads, the legs gather behind our bodies, again so the feet come together. And on exhalation, we're going to press on up to hands and knees. We'll find our blankets or our lift, whatever you have to sit upon, and we're going to come to sit on it. So when using a yoga blanket, or any blanket I suppose, you're going to sit on the folded edge of that blanket. We're going to take the legs out wide to the side. So not as wide as you can possibly get them. So we're sitting on the very edges of our blankets, the feet are flexed. Our legs are wide enough that we can reach our toes without bending too far forward. So you should be able to kind of just reach down and touch them maybe, if you can touch your toes. We're going to bend the left knee and bring the left foot to the inside of the right thigh. So the toes are just above the knee joint. And then we're going to spin our torso. So the hips are not coming with us. The hips are staying front, and the upper body from navel center up is spinning and facing the right leg. Janu Shirsasana, head of the knee pose. Finding foundation through the leg, so there's effort out through the leg into the sole of the foot is flexed. Tailbone has a gentle effort down towards the earth. Sternum lifts, crown of the head reaches. Tall spine on the breath in. As we exhale, hinging and folding over that right leg. Thinking about the belly being the first thing to come forward towards the leg. Keep the front body bright. And keep that navel center working towards the inside of that left leg. 2 more rounds of breath here. Be aware of the tendency to dip the head or stretch the chin forward. Let's just keep the head upright and the chin relaxing towards the chest so the back of our neck can be long. And then we'll inhale, coming on up. We're going to go ahead and stay in this position in the bottom half of our body. But on the next inhale, I like to take my hand and slide it across my belly, something I learned from my teacher. We inhale, and we're going to spin open to the left. Keeping tall spine in that right hand, palm faces center on the inside of that right leg. Take another breath in. On the exhale,
hinging at that right hip, and this time we're reaching towards that right foot with our right hand. Maybe your hand gets there, maybe it doesn't, so maybe this is your position and that's okay. If your hand easily comes towards the right foot, with the palm facing center, you're going to turn the hand so the palm goes up and then the pinky is on top holding onto the ball of the foot. The important part here though is not the reach of the foot. So if you're here, this is fine. The important part is to keep the torso spinning open towards the left. Keep those ribs spinning open. From here, we can trace our left rib cage, bring the fingertips up, inhale, reach that left hand beyond the crown of the head. But keep that body spinning open. So this is an open twist. The left ribs are opening up towards the ceiling. If you're holding your head up and your neck hurts, let your head relax back in space and let your right ear relax towards your right shoulder. That left arm is reaching beyond the crown of the head, and maybe it's coming towards the toes on that right foot. Pausing here, still working with that Samavritti breath. Three more rounds of breath here. And then we'll take that next full inhale and exhale to come all the way up and out. Take your time, no rush, mindful movement. Remember that we're supporting all of these movements from navel center, from core. When you're ready, we'll switch sides. So you'll extend your left leg, flex the left foot, bend the right knee, bringing that right foot into the inside of the left thigh, toes just above the knee joint. Spinning upper body, keeping hips front. Upper body rotates towards left leg. Tall spine. On the exhale, hinging and folding over that left leg. So there's a little awareness from that navel center, drawing towards the inside of this left leg. Front body is bright, sternum is still lifting, head is still upright. So we're not allowing the head to just hang, we're not jutting our chins forward. Nice extension of spine here. We'll take 3 more rounds of breath. And on that 4th inhale, as it comes to you, coming all the way up out of that fold. And as the next inhale comes into your body, you'll spin yourself open to the right now. Left hand comes to the inside of the left leg. And on an exhale, we hinge at that left hip, reaching with that left hand towards the left foot. Keep the body opening to the right. Again, if you easily reach the foot, you can flip that hand up, bringing the pinky to the top. Again, this is not the important part. Reaching the foot is not a big deal. Keep the body spinning open. It's the twist that we're looking for here, the support from navel center. If you want to, from here, we can extend the reach of that right arm beyond the crown of the head. Coming into this fold on the side, maybe the hand begins to reach towards those left toes. Body spinning open, right ribs spinning open. The head relaxes back in space, left ear relaxes towards the left shoulder. That right hand, the palm is facing the floor. Samavritti breath. Awareness at navel center. And on the next inhale, take that full inhale and exhale to slowly come all the way up and out, unwinding. And then we'll draw the soles of the feet together in the center, Baddha Konasana. So we don't need to pull those feet all the way into the groin. They can relax away from the body a bit. Hands come onto the fronts of the shins. The elbows relax in towards the body. Nice tall spine. Tailbone has that gentle feeling of rooting down towards the earth. Take another deep breath in. And on the exhale, hinging and folding forward.
So again, keeping the front body bright, heart and sternum lifting, collarbones broad. That's why those elbows relaxing in and back help that. Resisting the urge to let the head sag or to jut our chin forward. Just a nice lengthened spine here. 3 more rounds of breath. And on the 4th, inhale as it comes into your body, coming all the way up. And then we'll draw the knees up and together. Extend those legs out in front of us. So Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. Last forward fold here. I like to keep my hands by my hips. That way I resist the urge to reach for my toes. The elbows again relaxing in towards my body and into the space behind me to keep the collarbones broad. Tall spine, sternum lifts, crown of the head reaches as we inhale. Exhale, hinging at the hips. The feet are flexed. There's a bit of effort out through the legs. Coming into our forward fold. Pausing when you meet your pose for the day. Once you're in your pose, if you want to walk those hands forward some, but keep the collarbones broad, feel free. Nice tall spine. If you want to work in this posture, we think about lengthening spine on inhale, maybe hinging a little deeper on exhale. Supporting through navel center, that nice long, bright front body. 2 more rounds of breath here. And then we'll inhale, coming all the way up. From here, we'll come off of our blankets, off of our lifts, and we'll come down onto our backs. So then flat down onto your back. You can keep the knees bent for now. Coming flat down. Letting, you might need to move your ponytail so the flat back and the part of your, or the flat spot in the back of your head is what's resting on your mat, shoulder blades underneath you. We're going to bring those legs upright, pressing gently into the soles of the feet. So just staying here for a moment, notice what's going on in your back body. See if you can feel your low ribs gently hug towards the earth. So that requires a bit of engagement in the solar plexus from the navel center, drawing it into the body. The low ribs hug to the floor. The feet are gently flexed. There's a gentle press into the soles of the feet. Your hands can be in goalpost or they can be down by your sides. And on the next exhale, we're going to take those legs out wide to the side. So, but resisting the urge to let the legs fall away from the body. So the feet remain flexed. Upavishta Konasana, upward facing angle here. If you want to, you can take the hands and hold the insides of your thighs or the backs of your knees so that the legs aren't working too hard. If they're trembling a little bit, that's normal. Keeping that awareness through navel center, low ribs hugging to the ground. 3 more rounds of breath here. And on that 4th inhale, we'll draw the legs up and together. You can use your hands to support if you'd like. And on the exhale, we'll hug the knees into the belly, Apanasana. You can rock side to side a little bit here if that feels good. And from here, we'll put those feet flat back onto the ground. So the heels are beneath the knees. The feet are hips distance apart. The arms will come into goalpost position. So the elbows are bent to 90 degrees. They're in line with the shoulders, and the wrists are stacked over the elbows, but the hands are on the ground. On an exhale, we're going to do a knee down twists here, but we're not going to shift our feet around. Keep the feet right where they are, and on the exhale, allow the knees to fall to the left. Your feet will go on to their sides, and the head will look right. Inhale, come back up through the center with the head and the knees, and on the exhale, the knees go to the right, and the head turns left. Inhaling up through the center,
Exhaling, knees to the left, the head to the right. Inhaling up through the center. Exhaling, knees to the right, head to the left. And then 2 more times to each side. We'll meet together in the center. And if there's any other pose or movement you feel your body needs, you're welcome to do that now. Maybe you want to hug your knees in one last time or take happy baby, whatever feels good in your body. And then we're going to go ahead and settle in for Shavasana. So in Shavasana, the legs extend out in front of the body. The legs come apart about as wide as the mat allows. The tailbone takes a little scoop towards the heels. The legs relax and the feet flap open to the sides. The shoulder blades snug underneath us. There's a slight tuck of the chin, and those arms rest out at about a 45-degree angle with the palms face up. And then we scan and notice in our body any place where we're still holding, gripping, working. And we choose to let those spaces relax and soften. Once you're settled, let the eyes come closed. Take a moment and notice all of the places where the back of the body meets the ground. And as you exhale, allowing yourself to soften into those places a little bit more. No longer seeking to control the flow of your breath. Allow it to flow freely in and out of the body. No more work to do. No place else to be. Then bringing gently your awareness into the top of the head, into the crown of the head. We imagine that the scalp could relax around the skull. We feel the eyeballs settling into their sockets. Imagine that the bridge of the nose could relax into the face. Let there be a slight space between the teeth so the jaw can be soft. Feel the base of the throat and let that space soften. Shoulders relaxing, softening. Feeling as though they could sink down into your mat and into the ground. The big muscles of the upper arms soften. The elbows relax. The muscles of the lower arms soften. The wrists relax. And the hands feel weightless. The abdomen is soft. Breath moving freely. Hips relaxing, softening. Feeling as though they could melt down into the ground beneath you. The big muscles of the upper legs soften. The knees relax. Muscles of the lower legs soften. The ankles relax.
And the feet feel weightless. Awareness gently now drawing up the front of your body, all the way up to the rims of your nostrils, where you hold a gentle awareness of the air passing by on its way in and on its way back out. Inviting the breath to deepen back into the body. Bringing your awareness back into the physical form. Inviting some small movements, maybe turning the head gently and slowly side to side. Wiggling fingers, wiggling toes, rotating wrists and ankles a couple of times in each direction. Eventually beginning to move arms and legs, bending the knees and bringing them up towards the chest. Then finally rolling off onto the right side into the fetal position. Eyes closed, focus remaining inward, and pausing there. Maybe taking a moment to notice how you feel physically, energetically, mentally, without seeking anything specific, noticing if there's any change or shift compared to what you noticed at the beginning of class, resulting from the time that you've spent on your mat. And then slowly, again keeping the eyes closed if you can, or keeping the gaze soft, we'll find our way upright into a comfortable seated position for meditation. Once you're upright, we use just enough energy in the body to keep the spine tall and straight. The hands can relax face down on the knees or simply rest in your lap. And we use enough energy to keep the spine tall and straight. Establishing a steady diaphragmatic breath, feeling the breath moving in through the nose, down into the belly to the navel center. Exhale, emptying out all the way. Our meditation this afternoon will be So Hum. It's a mantra repetition, a silent one done internally. And it rides the breath. On inhale, in our own mind, we hear the sound So. And on exhale, the sound Hum. Inhaling So. Exhaling Hum. Words translate to I am that. Practicing this silent repetition cultivates our connection to something deeper than ego, something deeper than basic needs. Begins to cultivate our connection to something larger than our small self. Inhaling So, exhaling Hum. And if you're comfortable with this silent repetition on the breath, you can rest your mind's awareness at the space of third eye, or just about an inch or so behind eyebrow center. Mind's awareness resting just behind eyebrow center. Inhaling So, exhaling Hum.
As your next exhale, releasing that practice. Returning to your normal breath. When inhaling, the palms face up, bringing the hands to heart center. In prayer pose, the chin gently relaxing towards the chest. Our awareness now coming into the space of heart center. Honoring your own inner teacher and your own inner light. May you lean into this to find steadiness. We'll also take a moment to honor that same light residing in the hearts of all others, wishing them steadiness and light. Namaste.